to take on TPC Scottsdale starts today at WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com.
Hey, this is Brad Nortman from KBN. Tune in to Kyle, Bruston, Nortman from 2 to 5 every day. WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station. It's time for the best 60 minutes of your life. This is the Homer Hour, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee, alongside former Packer Bryan Bulaga. Here's Emmy Award winner Homer.
This is the Bryan Bulaga Homer Hour, and a special one because it's the day after the Super Bowl. I might just ask Dr. Football, talk about it because I'm watching the game and I'm thinking of you. I never want to bother you. And you know why I'm thinking of you. But I'll let you get to your first opening comment. First of all, good afternoon. The Monday after the Super Bowl, won by Seattle over New England, 29-13. And I like to say it wasn't that close. What's your opening comment?
Opening comment was that was a bloodbath. That's what that was. That was a bloodbath, and from the first quarter on, New England had absolutely no chance. They had no chance. Seattle swarmed them, and they didn't allow them a breath. And to me, that was the story of the game, the entire game. And you're exactly right. Having that score line, that wasn't the score. The score was it felt like it was 40-0. That's what the score felt like to me, because New England could not do anything. I don't even know when they got their first down, to be honest with you. Maybe it happened sometime in the...
They actually had more than you thought. I checked that. In the first half, I believe they had 4 and a grand total of 52 yards. It's hard to say that I thought it was less.
But it felt that way. It felt like they didn't do anything. They couldn't do anything, and Seattle's defense was fantastic. It was absolutely amazing, and that was the way they were playing in the playoffs, and they continued it on in the Super Bowl. And they were a team that they were obviously playing well in the regular season, but they got hot, right? They got hot right when they got into the playoffs. When you blow out San Francisco like that, a division rival, and then you beat another division rival in the NFC Championship game, you're the hottest team in the NFL. And they showed that again last night, and it wasn't even close. And I don't want to sit here and go into, who you played throughout the year and things like that, but let's call it what it is. And this is very much like the Chicago Bears as well. They played nobody in the regular season. One of the weakest schedules in the NFL. The Bears also had one of those, to kind of
But let's be fair so people that understand, that's the way it's set up by the NFL, that if you have the worst record in the division the previous year, you have the easiest schedule. It creates some parity, and it doesn't totally take away from the incredible turnaround. But I just want people to know there's a reason for that, and that's supposed to happen.
Yep, and I'm not saying it takes away from getting to. You're
just stating a fact too.
Yes, I'm just saying that we saw a very big difference between the two teams, right? And one team was battle tested and all the way through. New England didn't really get battle tested in the playoffs, right? They beat a bad Houston team, which unfortunately Drake May turned the ball over, I think 5 times in that game, and they still won somehow, which is very rare for playoff football. And then they go to Denver and play in a snowstorm, and anyone could win that game. So to me, it was one team looked battle ready and tested and came prepared, or they understood what the assignment was going to be, and the other didn't.
Now, but I wanted to mention, I thought of you when the left tackle for the New England Patriots, Will Campbell, was getting destroyed.
Yeah.
And I thought, I wonder if Bryan had been in the huddle and would have said at some point, we going to give the guy any help? We going to do anything?
Yeah.
And the reason I ask this is because I think you've taught me that, and it had to be something that New England knew was a possibility in the pregame, setting up the plans to where they would have a plan if he just started getting whipped. And again, I'm going to defer to you. Did you see any adjustment of any sort? If there was, that didn't work either. But I'll let you go wherever you want with Will Campbell starting left tackle for the New England Patriots. They even mentioned, I couldn't believe this, that he got beaten like 13 times, which was some sort of a record. I think I have that stat. Something close, but I can't ever remember that being brought up about anybody in the past. But take it away, Brian, on the left tackle of New England.
Yeah, okay, so normally you go into these games, and I'm sure Mike and Campy and Joe Philbin had a contingency plan if I went out there in my Super Bowl as a rookie.
Yes, you're right. You were in a similar situation. Good point.
Yeah, and was getting abused by Woodley and James Harrison. I'm sure they had a contingency plan, like, hey, we're going to park a tight end next to him, we're going to chip on our way out, or we're going to slide whatever it may be, even though against Pittsburgh it's hard to do because, they rush. They run a 3-down system and they rush 5. But regardless, I am surprised, and that is like a very light word, right? Like I could go a little bit
shocked.
Yes, that McDaniels did not change something after the first or second series, because it was very clear that he was going to have a rough day. And Seattle's got good pass rushers. Lawrence. He's the one that did a lot of damage to him. It seemed like DeMarcus Lawrence was the guy that did it. But they don't have that guy like, I don't know, like they don't have a Micah Parsons or a Garrett or someone like that. So they probably went into this thinking like, okay, he may have a bad play here or there or may give up a pressure, but like there's no way it's going to get out of hand. It's not going to get out of hand. And the fact that they didn't make an adjustment the second it started getting out of hand.
I hate to interrupt, but tell me when you noticed how early it got out of hand, because you would know sooner. Did you say it was getting out of hand like right at the beginning of the game or before the end of the first quarter, or
by the end of the first quarter? Because it's funny, even my dad texted me. My dad texted me and he's like, this kid is not having a good go at it. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you're right. Like this is hard to watch, and you feel bad for the kid because they got to help him out. And obviously they weren't able to run the ball, which New England relies a lot on, running the football, and now they're forced to pass all the time. And you have to be able to make that adjustment to help him out, at least get him back into a place mentally that he feels confident to go out there and pass protect, because he was all over the place with his fundamentals. I mean, I'd watched a couple New England games throughout the year when he was healthy, when he was playing. And, at times he would have a rough go here and there, but nothing like that. But he's always seemed like a technically sound guy, right? Like you watch him play.
I'm listening because I was thinking, like, what would Brian say to do? Because a couple times he just missed the guy. He never touched him, and it wasn't as if there was a reason for that. I was going to say, well, would Ryan say he's got to push into him, or I don't? There's a given.
No, he was whiffing. He was punching at ghosts, and that's not a good place to be in. And then obviously the one viral clip of him rocking offsides and then getting trucked over and getting the penalty and also getting flat back.
Well, this is where I wanted to ask you. I don't want to bother the game, but so you got no chance. Do you go into the guy first, or do you try to back up and make him go around? What?
Yeah, to me, if you get in a position like that and you're struggling, right? You're struggling, and you're guessing of what moves are coming.
You're
not
punching
sure
at ghosts.
Yeah, like you're not hitting anything. I would set back, be extremely patient, and make those D linemen run through me, and just make them like let's force contact. Let's make them bull rush, and like that's the way I would approach it, because if you're guessing moves, right, and you're throwing your hands and you're missing, and they're going around you, they're swatting and ripping and getting around you and doing whatever they want. You have to settle yourself in and go, okay, I got to make this the hardest hardest path possible for them, and that's to go straight through me to get to the quarterback. Because the last thing I should be, as an offensive lineman, you should be confident in your power, how you can base out against power rushes. So you have to set accordingly to make these guys start running through you, and be patient with your hands, be late with your hands. Don't show them your hands, because DeMarcus Lawrence, and I've gone against DeMarcus Lawrence a bunch of times when he was in Dallas. He's looking for your hands. So what I would always do to DeMarcus Lawrence is bait, because he wants to chop and hop and like rip around that outside hand. I would bait him with my outside hand. I would flash my outside hand, make him show his move. I would pull my right hand back and then get a hold of his outside shoulder pad, and that's how I would block him, because he's so good at timing that outside hand and punch that if you continually show him that and you're actually throwing it with intent to punch him, he's swatting it down every single time and going around you.
All right, well, you've distracted me a little. So if you had been able to give Will Campbell some advice on how to handle him, do you think? I mean, clearly you think it would have helped him to some degree, right?
Yeah, I think I would have been able to settle him down a little bit. Like, hey, he is getting your edge constantly. They're all working your edge. For some reason, they found something on him on tape that they could work his edge. And when you're getting edged, that means they're either seeing your outside leg drop as you punch, and they're thinking, okay, so that's weak now. That outside hand is weak, and the outside knee is weak. If we get that outside hand swatted down somehow, we're bending and we're around the corner. Like, we're there. So what I would have told him is, you need to set back at more of a 45-degree angle. Keep your hands steady, calm. Don't show them hands, and I'll get them to run into you. That's what you need to do. Invite the power. Give yourself enough width on your initial set. So, like, that's why I said set on a 45, so that you have a couple base steps to base out and absorb that power and sit down before you start to affect your quarterback. And then once you sit that power down, then you can start maybe throwing a hand out there. One hand, not both. Maybe throw your inside hand. Keep your left shoulder. So for him as the left tackle, keep your left shoulder square or square-ish at a 45-degree angle, but throw your inside hand and try to connect and try to turn their pad or do something to affect them. But he just got rattled early, and he was never able to recover and bounce back from it. But that would have been my 2 cents for him. Would be set back, be patient, don't go throwing your hands out there at these guys. They're waiting for it. They got 2 weeks to prepare for you. That's the thing about the Super Bowl. They've been studying you for 2 weeks over and over and over and over. So they have all this film to try to dissect and break down what your weaknesses are. It's not like a normal game week where you got a few days and you're going through things quick or quicker. They got 2 weeks to go over this. So that's what I would have.
All right, let's see. You distracted me again. All right, so let's get to, because you were a rookie when the Packers were in the Super Bowl in 2010, and I'm assuming that you expected your opposing defensive players to have watched you and figured out what your weakness was. I mean, this is a level that no one has any idea that goes on in the offensive line. Because me, it's just like, all right, Brian blocks, the other guy tries to get by him, and it's that simple. But clearly not, and you've even taken it to another level. So are you, when you're watching the tape of the Cowboys, the guys you're going to face, or excuse me, Pittsburgh, not Cowboys, sorry, I got lost. Are you thinking of what they might do, or are you also aware of what people think might be your weakness, and so you're watching for that at the beginning of the game? What's the truth?
Yeah, so when that 2 week period, I remember I mentioned it to you last time, I watched tape with Campy, extra film, especially in Dallas, so many times. Like, we watched so much extra film.
Now we know, because you didn't want to be Will Campbell.
Yeah, we watched a lot of tape once we got to Dallas, extra after meetings, and we went over so many things, and we did a bunch of individual studies, right, on Woodley and Harrison and what they were so good at and what they beat guys on. And we watched their sack tape, their pressure tape probably an extra 6 times over just that week compared to what I had already watched myself, and then the week in Green Bay. So, like, I was very familiar with what they were really good at, right? Like, and it's one thing to know what they're really good at, and then you have to actually go out there and stop it in the moment, right? Like, that's a whole nother level. But while you're doing this, you're also going back, at least I did, and I watched games prior of myself and throughout the season that run up into the playoffs and then the playoff games. And I watched myself.
Because they're going to watch those.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. So I watched, if I got beat, what did I get beat on? What would they be looking at on me that, hey, this is a weakness on this young kid. If we can get him on this is something we can keep going back to and back to and back to. So I studied those things and I watched it. And then in practice, I would ask the scout team guy, hey, do this on me. Try this on me. Work this move on me. And that's that's really what I did that whole week prior, or week of the Super Bowl, or 2 weeks. And then obviously we did a lot of one-on-one stuff, or not 1v1, like ones versus ones, like in practice. So I was going against Clay and guys like that. So I had a lot of good work from that standpoint as well, where I'm going against a freak show in practice. And it's like, okay, got to figure this out. I have to worry about Clay too, and the Steelers. Like, it's really fun. But you definitely do a self-study, and then you do an opponent study to make sure that you're finding out your weaknesses, but you're also trying to figure out what their strengths are and what, if say they had a game where maybe they only had a pressure or two, right? They weren't as effective as what they normally are. What did that tackle do? He's not the same player as me. We're two different tackles. We do different things well. But what did he do to try to neutralize what's so dangerous about the opponent? And that's what I did for the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl, was kind of go back through those things. I had nothing better to do. It's not like I had a family or anything. Like, it was just myself and my wife now, and my
What do you mean
girlfriend.
nothing better to do? Shouldn't every player be doing that? Unless you know I'm better than the guy facing me. I don't need to do a Bulaga.
Well, guys have guys have priorities and kids and things like that. I mean, they do their work, they do their film study, and then a lot of times guys go home and they shut it off, and there's nothing wrong with that.
All right, now I get to the next level. You keep distracting me. So the other guys, the veterans you're with, did they all have the same approach where they're analyzing both ends so much as you, or did some do it more, or were some, I got this, I can take care of it. Because you looked up to them in every way, at least the way you've talked.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I asked Chad a lot of questions, Clifton, because he had played both of the guys. Oh. He had played Harrison and he had played Woodley already, in his career as a professional. So I asked him a bunch of questions about what, hey, because Harrison is so obviously strong and low center of gravity and all those things that are really tough for taller tackles to handle. And I asked him, like, hey, what's the best plan of action for this guy? What are you looking for? How are you trying to set him? Are you setting vertical? Are you setting 45? Are you punching? Because if you punch him, because has such a low center of gravity, if your hands go over his pad, say you miss with your punch on a guy like James Harrison, he is going to walk you back into the quarterback in about a half a second, because he's so damn strong. And he's in your chest, and then you can't recover in time against a guy like that to base out, because he's too strong. Walk over these things with the guys that have done it, and you just kind of pick their brain and see what works or what they think works, and you got to trust it, right? They've been there, they've done that. Obviously, the guards and center. Obviously, Scott Wells was a bookworm. He studied everything in and out. He knew everything. I mean, Scott knew everything. He was just like Corey in that instance. They knew what let's just put it this way. They knew the ins and outs of the game plan. They knew exactly what the Steelers fronts were and pressures and things like that. Like, they were very intelligent. Then I was obviously fortunate enough.
Oh, wait, now you've made me wonder again. But doesn't a center have to do that? If you're a center and you're not doing that, aren't you a mess, or is that just your standard? No,
that would. I mean, I think every great center is like that. That's how I think
they know
every
everything.
Center is. Yes, they know everything. If you're a center in the NFL and you're extremely high level, that's how you operate.
Founded by inventors, fueled by community, and focused on business, for 130 years, Horicon Bank has helped Wisconsin businesses grow, doing banking differently since 1896. Today, that same local approach is now part of the Milwaukee business community, bringing decision-making closer to the people who matter most, you. Financing requests approved in days, not weeks. Bankers who understand your business. Products designed to support real cash flow needs. Because when it comes to commercial lending, Horicon Bank gets the job done. Together, doing well for 130 years. Second quarter with Bryan Bulaga. Next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Delays in the construction zones this afternoon in both directions on 94. Westbound, you'll see brake lights between 27th and just past the stadium interchange. Eastbound traffic slows down between 76 and Hawley. Looking at 43 southbound, you'll be on and off the brakes from about Locust through downtown. And looks like a lane closure is causing delays on 43 north in Waukesha County. The left lane is closed about half a mile beyond the ramp from Moreland. Tonight, a slight chance for freezing drizzle to the north, otherwise mostly cloudy skies, a low of 30. Tuesday, partly cloudy and mild, a high of 38. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Jessica Gatso on 94.5 ESPN.
Stay up to date on the Green and Gold all off season. The Green and Gold Fix podcast is brought to you by Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Luxury stay, elite play, unwind in sophisticated comfort. Win big, dine, and experience the events in Milwaukee.
Students learn best when they can put their knowledge into action. JA's Stock Market Challenge teaches high school students how to analyze stocks and how current events impact value. Thanks to RSM, our partner that makes this program possible. It's just one of many ways JA brings learning to life. To learn more, visit wisconsin.ja.org.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
According to Time Magazine, Gen Z is drinking 20% less alcohol than all previous generations. Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor. Over our 65 years in business, we've stayed up on all the trends, where you'll always find 2,000 varieties of beer, 4,000 types of liquor, and over 8,000 wines. We now also stock over 100 varieties and growing of THCA, CBD, and Delta-9 non-alcoholic specialty-infused drinks. So whether you're experimenting with the latest wellness trend, or you just want something in your fridge that your college kid can call you cool for, come check out our expansive selection. And while you're at it, you do deserve that bottle of bourbon. Discount Liquor in Milwaukee on 51st in Oklahoma and in downtown Waukesha on Barstow and Maine.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
And visit us online at discountliquorinc.com.
All Brewers tickets for the 2026 season are on sale Thursday, February 12th. This year, it all kicks off at our house with opening day at home, followed up with a schedule that's absolutely loaded. Throw in the same flair for the dramatic thrills on any given night. Plus Brewers giveaways you won't forget. And you've got a season you're going to have to see to believe. Don't miss a second of Brewers action this year. The crew is back for more starting February 12th at Brewers.com.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Kyle Wallace. Right now, buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and 0% financing for 36 months plus $500 off your project. Restrictions apply. Call 414-410-2000. And like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
The pursuit of fair wages and top-of-the-line benefits is achieved when the right union has your back. The Sheet Metal Workers Labor Union is extremely diverse, representing Wisconsinites working HVAC, architectural metals, welding, specialty fabrication, and much more. Make great living wages with outstanding benefits, pensions, and apprenticeship programs in trained, safe working environments. The Sheet Metal Workers Union is a leading force in the revitalization of the labor movement in Wisconsin.
This is the Homer Hour on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Continuing the Bryan Bulaga Homer Hour, and that is the day after the Super Bowl. And we're talking about Will Campbell, the left tackle for the New England Patriots, And his problem was really an issue in the game. It was a factor in the game. I don't know how good, probably still good, Seattle's defense would have been, but wouldn't it have been at least slightly different story if New England had ever figured out how to help Will Campbell, their left tackle?
It would have helped solidify some of the pressure because Seattle was winning with 4-man rushes. That's it. They were just winning with a 4-man rush. And to me, you would have thought that you wanted to get that under control, at least one of the tackle positions, the edges of your offensive line settled to maybe get back into a rhythm throwing the football, especially against a 4-man rush. And it just never happened. All
right, you played, you would have assumed the first thing you do is you have somebody help him over there chipping, right?
Yes.
And so
the tight end parks next to him. They put a shoulder into the DN and then go out on their route.
And then somebody mentioned, you saw it maybe better than I did, that there were a couple times where they used 6 offensive linemen, which you see every now and then.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I never feel like you need to do that for pass protection. I mean, obviously they needed to last night because I think they give up 6 sacks and the most amount of pressures in maybe besides when Denver won.
Yes, it's historically bad.
Yes, and so I understand that you think you need extra protection, but if they're rushing 4 guys and you have 5 offensive linemen and you chip one of the sides with a tight end, you should be able to secure that pocket for 3 seconds to give Drake May some time to throw the football. But it just never happened. They just never went to it where they were securing one side for sure all the time and maybe sliding the center the other way so the guard could get it. It was just they couldn't get on track. And to me, that was the most shocking thing because McDaniels is such a good offensive coordinator and smart, and he's able to make adjustments on the fly, and they just never did it. And I'm going to tell the offensive linemen aren't going to go over to the offensive coordinator and say, "Hey, you need to start chipping this guy for me." No, no, it's just that's not something that happens. That's a decision that's made by the offensive coordinator, the head coach.
I understand, but I can't go over and go. Well, especially if you're a veteran guy, he might not do it. But how about there was another veteran player on New England? I think he was a right tackle.
Moses.
He acted like he said after the game, "Hey, you'll be okay. You're a great kid." Well, wouldn't he say something to somebody? We're not talking about a bad day. We're talking about a historically bad day. So I guess you don't. All right, I'll move on from that. And here's my next question. Everybody knows that Josh McDaniels is a good, maybe even great offensive coordinator. I'm assuming he's seeing it, so I assume he didn't do it because he didn't want to do it for some reason. I just can't believe he's that dumb. I'm not buying it. Where are you on that theory?
They might. He was probably thinking we have to get as many guys out into this route tree as we can as soon as possible to try to get into this Seattle zone defense to try to create space for our guys. And if I leave a tight end in chipping every time, now we have one less guy into the routes, and it's not going to like the flow of the play. It's not going to open up the way we want to. Like that's my only thought. And at that point in time, they needed to do anything and everything to try to get the ball down the field. And I guess that's all I can go at. That's really the only way I could look at it.
All right, as I'm moving on to this, now my next step. So Josh McDaniels didn't do it, so they can do it. Now, I also think they believed that they didn't have to score that many points, that their defense was good enough that they could hold it, so they probably weren't as bothered by being behind the margin that they were. But if what you say is true, then this is all on the quarterback because he's the other one who can adjust. Clearly, Josh McDaniels, not doing the things you suggested, had to believe that they were better off the alternative, partly because of his belief in Drake May, and he just, as they often wonder about young quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, just kind of lost it. Your thought on that theory?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say that, he thought Drake May was going to be able to avoid the pressure and things like he's been doing it all year, so maybe that was a thought too.
Or they just accept a certain number of sacks because they've had a ton of them.
Yeah, or that, or they just accepted, hey, it's going to be what it's going to be, which that's hard to think that too. Like, I just don't know, but it's a combination of both things, right? Like, obviously the quarterback, he got very pocket jittery early because of the pressure that he was under.
Could you tell that?
Yes.
Because to me, he isn't jittery. You know what I think he is? Smart. They're coming after him. Now, he didn't release the ball real early, but what's the difference between jittery and just smart? He doesn't want to get killed.
Yeah, you can start to see when a quarterback's very uncomfortable back there. He starts pulling the ball down early. He's looking at rushers. He starts stepping up too early when the pocket hasn't formed yet. Maybe he's trying to escape out somewhere where there's nowhere to escape, but he just feels like there's someone next to him or behind him, and it's just all those things, right? Like, it's all those things together that you can kind of see when a quarterback starts to get a little uneasy back there, and that happened early. And as a young quarterback, obviously, trying to make things happen in the biggest game of the year, it doesn't shock me that it happened that way. Right when the offensive line started to struggle the way it did, it didn't surprise me much. So it started early, and it just continued on, and they just never had an answer to right the ship, unfortunately.
All right, now we move on to my next theory, and that is I'm old enough to have watched the Bears of '85, and I never once blamed the offense of the other teams or the coordinator or anything. You got no chance. Just hope your quarterback doesn't get killed. How much of this is just Seattle's defense is that good?
Well, you got to give them their flowers, right? I mean,
I don't know how much, because the Rams certainly moved the ball on them. These are the things I ask you. What did you think?
Well, the Rams were also, to me, one of the best offenses in the league too. I mean, that Rams had one of the best teams in the NFL, so. They had good protection. They got a great quarterback, great wide receivers, good tight ends. They were able to stress out Seattle's defense in certain ways where even New England, on their best day, can't stress that defense the way the Rams did, just based on personnel alone, right? Like, that's just what it is. They are not comparable from an offensive standpoint. So Seattle going into that game, I would imagine, had a level of confidence that from a weapon standpoint, this team can't hurt us the way the Rams hurt us, or, whoever they found to be a threat throughout their season. Like, we can't get hurt by them the same way that the Rams would hurt us or something like that. They don't have that in their bag of tricks. New England the whole season has been methodical the way they move the ball down the field. They run it, and then they play action, and then Drake May gets out of the pocket and makes things happen. And they took away the run instantly, so that's gone. The run is gone, so now the play action game is gone. So now you're going to attack them, which they struggled with all year. At least the games that I watched, especially against Denver, was protecting Drake May, right? Like, now we get to do what we want to do as a defense, and that's rush the passer. And they did it really well. The whole plan was they got to drop everyone else in the zone, flood the zones with bodies, and rush 4 and get home with 4.
I want to know if you noticed what I noticed. They tackled so well. I mean, there was like one missed tackle. I think it was early in the game, maybe on the first drive or something for New England. And at the end of the game, everybody's like, wow, we were shocked. On one missed tackle?
Yeah.
Did they stand out, or maybe it's just that's something that the Packers have struggled on some of the time, and that one guy just always made the tackle.
Yeah, they were very, very good at making sure the ball carrier was not getting loose after he, first initial contact. We'll just put it that way. But that's been Seattle's defense all year.
All right, I want to get back to the Packers. We'll do that. We'll get to that in the next segment. Homer with a message about 3 Pillars Senior Living Communities, beautiful setting along the Bark River in Dousman. And yes, 300 acres. I feel like I have to yell that. 300 acres. That's how they can be a top-ranked full continuum community, because with 300 acres, you can do anything. Active adult and independent living, and assisted living and memory care, and skilled nursing and rehab, and incredible wellness programs, and a long list of activities, a nature-filled campus with 10 miles of walking. You can do all that and more. Why? 300 acres, and it makes it easier for the amazing staff to be even more amazing, and the staffs are always the most important thing. So, 300 acres, 3pillars.org, 3pillars.org. Third quarter with Bryan Bulaga coming up next.
The Homer Hour is back after this on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Looking at the construction zones, 94 westbound, you'll see delays starting almost back at 16th Street. That continues all the way past the stadium interchange. Eastbound traffic is mostly slow right at 76th Street. And 43 southbound, you'll be on and off the brakes from North Avenue through downtown. Traffic is brought to you by Fisco Auto Body. Call Fisco Auto Body to help with all body repair needs. Fisco, Fisco, Fisco. Tonight, a slight chance for freezing drizzle to the north, otherwise mostly cloudy skies, a low of 30. Tuesday, partly cloudy and mild temperatures, a high of 38. Weather is brought to you by the Pickler Menominee Falls. Cold outside? Get moving indoors with free Learn to Play Pickleball every Monday and Saturday. Learn more at thepickler.com. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Jessica Gatso on 94.5 ESPN.
St. Anne's Center for Intergenerational Care switched from a previous vendor to business technology from James Imaging Systems. Why? CFO Sally Parente.
The service, the value, and the ease with which we can just keep using their service and not having any big headaches. It's not just all about the money. We're getting value here as well.
Robert Prang, CIO at Tri-City National Bank, likes the fact that James Imaging is local.
So being able to work with a local company like James that has that flexibility with their staff and being able to deliver for us has given us the ability to make the right decisions for our organization.
And Junior Achievement of Wisconsin VP of Enterprise Services, Lori Salzman, had this advice for others.
If anybody is looking for a good partner that is there to help find solutions, call James Imaging.
James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. Visit jamesimaging.com.
Homer here with a message about 3 Pillars Senior Living Communities, located on a serene setting along the Bark River on 300 gorgeous acres. 3 Pillars Senior Living Communities is a top-ranked full continuum community. Active adult, independent living, assisted living, memory care, skilled nursing, and rehab. 3 Pillars, the hands-down choice for you or your loved one. Been there. Know people who live there. They love it. You got to go to Dousman and see it in person. Get all the info on 3 Pillars at 3pillars.org.
It's a great time to win the ultimate Valentine's Day prize, courtesy of Welke's Milwaukee Florist. To register, go to welkesdatenight.com or the ESPN Wisconsin app and click on the contest page for your chance to win a bouquet of flowers, candles, chocolates, rose petals, a $100 gift card to Bartolotta restaurants. You can also win a Milwaukee basketball game where they take on Toronto on February 22nd. Register to win this Valentine's Day, courtesy of Welke's Milwaukee Florist through February 12th. Go to welkesdatenight.com or the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Experience hot gaming action and a relaxing spa day. Your perfect winter getaway at the island. Book a stay and float package to get both a standard room and a rejuvenating 60-minute float pod therapy session for less than $100. Complement your stay with an elevated dining experience at Horizon Steakhouse and fun on the gaming floor where big wins wait for you. The Island Resort and Casino's stay and float package runs through February. Call 800-682-6040 to book yours today. Certain days and restrictions apply.
Screaming Sicilian, more is amore. Screaming Sicilian, more is amore. Amore, pepperoni, amore, mozzarella, amore. Screaming Sicilian,
Screaming Sicilian frozen pizza. More toppings, more flavor. More is amore.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Continuing the day after the Super Bowl, Bryan Bulaga Homer Hour, talking about more about New England than Seattle, but I just wondered, we've talked about New England, just Seattle's defense was so much better. As good as the offenses that you were with in Green Bay, did you ever have a game where the defense was so good and you thought, ooh, we're in trouble? Or I don't know what the closest you ever were to saying it that way, or maybe never.
Yeah, I mean, there were certainly defenses that we went against Seattle, right? And Seattle's a perfect example of that when they had the Legion of Boom. The 49ers defenses with Harbaugh when they had Justin Smith and Aldon Smith and Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis and all those guys, like those were certainly defenses that you felt like you had to be perfect to put points up, to move the ball, and to win the game. Like there were certainly defenses like that. Chicago's defense, my rookie year, with Julius and Peanut Tillman and Urlacher and Briggs and all those guys. Like I played a lot of those defenses where you felt like you had to be perfect to beat them.
So what do you do? What's the explain what you give up certain things, or I mean, the Bill Belichick line is always take away what they do best, and I don't know. I mean, it helps to have Aaron Rodgers when you know he'll figure everything out, but still, you've got to. What did you change because of how good they were?
I think it's being patient. I think you have to be patient, and sometimes you have to take what they give you, right? Like there's always a soft spot or something that, like for the 49ers, for example, right? With Vic Fangio, it's the same way with the Eagles. They don't want anyone beating them over the top. That is, he puts an absolute umbrella over the defense, and he does not allow anyone to get deep. So everything is underneath and shorter to intermediate routes.
So that's the two safeties deep, right?
Yes. Sometimes they cover three.
And then everybody was saying Seattle did that, but they still could attack so well. But I'll save that for a follow-up. Or go ahead.
Well, that's being able to rush with four.
Oh, all right.
When you can rush with four and then drop the remaining 7 into coverage and just flood out zones, it's very difficult to find space. And then if your pass rushers are getting home that fast, it makes things very difficult on an offense. So sometimes you look at going against these types of defenses that are extremely high level. You just have to take what they give you. And if that's short to intermediate routes, that's what you got to take.
Yeah, but here's my follow-up. Hate to interrupt. Then other times, I swear they were rushing 12. I mean, they were rushing, 5 or 6, so they just sent, was it a cornerback? Can't remember who it was. So they did that even though they didn't need to do that. Well, what's that?
They changed things up. They would throw pressures in there, for sure.
All right.
They were throwing pressures in there, and you can't just do the same thing over and over.
Why not? If they can't stop us. I don't know.
Because we want to throw different looks, especially at a young quarterback like last night. You're going to throw a couple different things at him to confuse him, to mix him up, to rush his time clock up a little bit even more. Maybe replace a blitzer, drop a guy, bring a guy, and maybe you can get a pick or something like that. It's just when you're able to just win with 4, you can do anything then. You can get away with anything because you already know they're already worried about 4 guys rushing. If we bring 5, they're really in trouble. They're really in trouble, and that's what was able to be done last night. Even though they didn't bring a lot of pressures, they didn't, like you said, they didn't have to. But when you're able to just win with 4, the whole playbook opens up for the defensive coordinator. His call sheet is enormous, and he can go through anything, and it'll work.
This is when I debate, or I'm curious, because this is Mike McDonald. He's the head coach, and I would say the guy nobody's ever heard of, even winning the Super Bowl. Who is this guy? He doesn't seem to have any interest in telling anybody about him, and it's not like he's boring. It's just like, I don't know. I can't think of a coach that would seem to have as small an ego as he has. Coaches in general, head coaches, they're the guy. So I don't know if I'm wrong about that. But is it him and the setup, he was with Baltimore, or is it the group of players that John Schneider put together?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with the coach.
All right.
Right? Like, he's put these guys – I mean, it's his defense, right? Like, let's put it that way. It's his defense. And they're in the right positions all the time. Now, obviously, Schneider has drafted really well and signed free agents really well and things like that, and guys that can fit that scheme extremely well. and play to what McDonald wants to do at a very high level. Because you can't just pull a guy who you think's a great pass rusher and put him into a scheme where maybe it doesn't fit that way. Maybe he needs to be in a 3-down system where he's standing up and he's doing different things. Like it's obviously, if you're talking about Myles Garrett and Micah and guys like that, yeah, you could put them anywhere.
Yeah, but I don't think there's a guy on Seattle that anybody knows as that kind of a player.
No, there's not. There's not.
It's not possible then to be that good.
Well, they brought in the right guys.
All right.
And the scheme is perfect, and they fit the scheme perfect, and that's what you get. That's really what you get. Like, and the scheme itself, right, that he runs isn't overly complex. It's not very, it's not like there's a bunch of moving pieces to it. There just isn't. Guys they know what their assignments are. They're lining up and they're pinning their ears back and they're going. And he frees them up and he lets them play. And that's what you see from, like, it was all over the tape yesterday. They were playing so much faster than New England.
But they're young, right? I mean, we don't even know who the star of them is. They're young. So I'm assuming, because, again, I'm comparing them right or wrong to the Bears and that great defense that they had in '85. Well, they should have won more titles because the defense was great for a couple of years following. And my question is, looking at that, there's no reason to believe they won't be that good or in that neighborhood for the next, I'm going to say, 2 years. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're going to be that good for the next few years from a defensive standpoint until some of these young guys start coming up for contracts and you got to make decisions. But that's where it goes back to Schneider. You sign them or replace them with quality guys, right? Like that's what it comes down to. And you look at that corner they drafted. I have a hard time pronouncing his name.
Who was like a rookie?
Yes, who's an absolute stud.
Was it Woodson? I think it was Woodson, but I'm not sure which one it was.
That was the New England guy.
Okay.
The Seattle guy, it starts with an N or something like that.
I don't know. Doesn't matter. Your point is that, and again, maybe that's because he's around a lot of other good players, and that makes him look better than he is. I don't know. These are all theories and questions.
He's an all-pro as a rookie.
Yeah.
Corner is very difficult.
Hey.
We'll just put it that way.
All right, but it is a little easier with what they got going. I know all the things they can do. He can guard, he can tackle, he can do everything. So, all right.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of like I said with the Packers defense. If you can rush with 4 and win with 4, it makes the back end's life so easy because the ball's coming out in 2.5 seconds. So there's only certain routes that can be gotten off in that amount of time.
All right.
Yeah, there's going to be the time where they pick up, where you play a good offense, especially with a good offensive line, and hey, things are going to happen. But for the most part, if you're able to rush with 4, man, the back end, those guys can be super aggressive, jump routes, be physical, and make things happen.
All right, we're going to break, and then I'm going to get to my final question. It was actually my most important question, but I figure the answer is going to be short, so that's why I've been saving it. Running a business means taking care of your team and your bottom line for over 50 years. Saganiac Planning has helped small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses build smarter, more affordable medical and employee benefit plans. They've helped all sizes, so they understand all sizes. From health insurance to customized coverage options, Saganiac Planning's experts make it simple to protect your people and your future. Saganiac Planning, your partner in planning confidence. Visit SaganiacPlanning.com or call Eric Pearson today. Remember the number, 783. That's all you got to remember, 262-783. Roger Maris, 6161. Fourth quarter, next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app. On this show, it's always football season.
I would have liked to have seen the process go a little bit longer. I would have loved to have seen them evaluate. And then if it still comes back Gannon, great.
Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
It did feel like there was maybe a little bit of a push. If you don't bring him in and get him done now, he's going somewhere else.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on 94.5 ESPN, ESPN Milwaukee's YouTube channel, and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat with Freddie Coleman.
There's domination, and then there was that we saw in the first half by the Seahawks defense in their dominating win over the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 61. It's one thing to look like that offensively if you are the Patriots in the first 30 minutes, but only 51 yards of total offense? I think Bad Bunny had more dancers than yards gained by the New England Patriots in the first half part of his halftime show. And it didn't get any better. And I know the final stats will look at it and say the Patriots had over 300 yards of total offense, and they scored 13 points. Believe me when I tell you, it wasn't that close. This Seattle defense gave one of maybe the top 2 performances defensively in the history of the Super Bowl. The only one that was better than that was the Baltimore Ravens, what they did to the New York Giants in the early 2000s. And what the Steelers did to the Minnesota Vikings in the 1970s, look that up. They dominated them on a cold day in New Orleans. But that night, last night in Santa Clara, man, oh man, it was that bad or even worse for the Patriots offense than it looked, courtesy of the Seahawks defense. In 60 seconds, how hurt was Patriots quarterback Drake May?
I'm Boomer Esiason. My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. She didn't have life insurance, and that was devastating for my family. That's why having life insurance is so important to me. Ethos makes it fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. You can get up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/play. That's ethos.com/play. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Can I take your coat?
Oh, you noticed. Yeah, I found it on eBay from a seller in Vegas. Pre-loved and perfect. She listed it and jackpot. Italian leather, classic trench silhouette. And did you see the braided buckle?
Hang on to your claim ticket.
Oh, I'll hang on to this forever. Have you been on eBay? There's so many finds. And I bet that diving watch would sell fast. Just saying.
Find what you love, sell what you don't. eBay. Things people love.
He's a gamer, there's no doubt about that. The gamer I'm talking about is Patriots quarterback Drake May. There's no question he was not just hurt, he was injured. He even admitted as much after the game was over, after his team got destroyed by the Seattle Seahawks, that he had to take a shot for his shoulder. So there's no question that compromised him. But also, let's keep it 100. He's not going to make an excuse. There were some throws he made with that compromised shoulder that he normally would make, and some throws he was able to make. It did not help his shoulder, his body, and his mind that the Seahawks defense completely not just influenced the Patriots offense to play that badly, but they spooked the offense coordinator known as Josh McDaniels. It looked like he did not want to take any chances because that Seahawks defense was that terrific. So he's a gamer, no doubt, when it comes to Drake May. But the game was taken away from him, and the Seahawks defense had a lot to do with that. For the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio's Freddie and Harry.
Disney on Ice presents Frozen and Encanto in one exciting family experience. Sing along with Anna and Elsa in wintry Arendelle. And celebrate the power of love, y familia, with Mirabel and Bruno in the show everyone will be talking about, live in your hometown. Playing Fiserv Forum this week. Great seats still available. Visit DisneyOnIce.com for show details. Welcome back to the Homer Hour on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
It is the fourth quarter with the Bryan Bulaga Homer Hour. I'm going to do this first after I tell you the questions. I don't know how anybody can't watch that game, and they show John Schneider. He's now got 3 Super Bowls, 1 with the Packers, 2 now with Seattle. How many would the Packers have if somehow they would have found a way at any point in this period when he left, I think he left in 2010, to stay in Green Bay? And will history say the Packers' biggest mistake over this whole period was not finding a way to get Schneider back at the time he was GM, or even when they needed a president? He was a finalist with this recently when Ed Palacey got it. But first, I'll give you time to think on that, Bryan Bulaga. Tune into the next season of the Behind the Bucks podcast on the Bucks Plus Audio Network, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR benefits consultant. Bucks versus the World, narrated by comedian Charlie Behrens, reveals the untold story of the '87 McDonald's Open, when the Bucks became the first NBA team to take on the best national team in the world, the Soviet Union. Find Behind the Bucks on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the new ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get your podcast. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher. All right, Bryan Bulaga, that's all I'm going to remember from this game. Every time they looked at John Schneider and go, how did he get away? Could have brought him in at some point as general manager or something, and now he was one of the 4 finalists when they picked Ed Palacey. You take it away.
So my simple answer for this is I don't know. Right? Like that's a very simple answer, is I don't know how many.
Did you
titles.
meet him or know him? Did you? I mean, I may have asked you this before. It seems like you said. Did you?
I only met him
because he left right when you were there as a rookie. Yeah.
Yes, so I met him only when I was interviewing at the Combine with Seattle.
So he was already in Seattle in 2010 before the draft.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember meeting with him and Pete Carroll and their scouts, and that was the time I met him. I did not meet him. I don't believe I met him in Green. I
didn't know which 2010. So he left before the Packers won it in 2010. Though he was the number one guy, I believe, for Ted Thompson. So he was a big part of the players that were drafted and stuff.
Yes. So
all right.
The simple answer is I don't know, and that's being honest because
that's the difference between you and I. I don't know either, but that's what I'm thinking.
I mean,
he's a local kid. He grew up in Green Bay. No one would know the understanding. I know you don't generally make a GM the president, but I don't. This is
again, it's a question that it could be debated and talked about.
If you make him a finalist, you're clearly considering him.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, from what you said, I mean, we didn't address it, but. This is a Seattle team that the Packers are going to have to deal with over the next couple of years, knowing, and it's going to be even harder if their quarterback is that good, but this defense is going to be this dominant, I would say, like the Bears. Is it fair to say that for the next couple of years? Now, the Bears never won another one, so it doesn't guarantee anything for Seattle, but that tells you what the Packers are up against to get to the Super Bowl? Okay.
Yes, 100%. They're going to have you're going to have to look down the barrel of that Seattle defense to get where you want to go at some point, and that's going to be the nature of it. And it's not like they're not going to add more pieces. It's not like they don't get draft picks or can spend money in free agency. They're allowed to do that too. So they're allowed to add to that defense. They're allowed to add to that offense. They're allowed to get better.
Who's the guy that's going to be doing that? From Pierre Abbott, Penny. All right, I got to move on, right? You can't. You got to. Can't fix it.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
All right. Well, we'll move on to the Packers later this week. And thanks for the Bryan Bulaga Homer Hour about the Super Bowl. See you in a couple of days. I don't know what's next, but as I say sometimes on Friday, not as good what Bryan Bulaga taught you about the offensive line and the Super Bowl. Next.
To look out for on 94 westbound in Waukesha County.